Well, Matt. We are back for our predicted, yes, you have heard me correct, our predicted 11 for the game against Arsenal. Premier League is back, Matt. How are you feeling about it?
I don't know. It's weird, isn't it? It's weird because it's a 6 week gap's like not a normal amount. It's like it's not an off season, but we're coming back 15, 14, what games, whatever it is in. It's weird, but it's good because I don't want to go. There always has to be football at Christmas, so at
Yeah.
least they managed to get it back in time.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I don't know, mate. Like, the break came at the right time for West Ham. The break absolutely came at the right time for West Ham. And then the World Cup happened, and for me, I tried my best to get into it. There was a couple of days I did get into it because some of the games were pretty cool, and I had maybe the odd day off, and I was able to watch some of the games, had the kids and stuff like that. And then it got laterally into the tournament, obviously with the England situation. That wasn't great. But then it felt like you could rest a little bit, rest easy now. I know it sounds really bad, but we were out of the tournament and you could concentrate on just watching it and trying to enjoy it. And the final was obviously a really good spectacle for anyone that was watching it. So we got a chance to see some of our players feature. Some done well, some average. But I would say all in all, the majority done quite well in the tournament. And we now come back to Premier League football. Premier League football, mate, 6 weeks ago, things were not looking well for West Ham.
Oh, I think that's a bit of an understatement. You said it definitely come at the right time. I don't know. Like Moyes has said about fine margins, and yes, but what's that like? The definition of insanity is doing something over and over and over and expecting a different result or something. And it's just that's what we were doing at the start of the season. Moyes wasn't. I don't know. Was he tactically getting it wrong? Was like it was definitely the right time for us to have a break. Thankfully, a few players said got away on national break. A few players got away on international duty, and all done relatively said really well. Like Gued was getting some rave reviews up until he got his little minor knock.
Yep.
But up until then, he was like one of the rising stars in that. I suppose that surprise package in Morocco.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. And I think the main thing for me though is that depends on what kind of West Ham fan you are. I feel like a lot of people I speak to now, especially when we do the channel, as such that a lot of people are feeling negative about the restart. I'm not. David Moyes done his press conference today, and they actually referenced the similarity between Project Restart potentially and this, like the chance to reset and get your group of players together and actually work through what it is you want to try and achieve for the season and what's not worked and what's worked and all that sort of stuff. But we find ourselves now in a situation where we're going to have players missing for this game, which is a bit disappointing because you would want to have come back with your full strength side. And we were so close, mate, with Naif Aguerd kicking about and Paqueta coming back early. We didn't expect to potentially have Paqueta available if Brazil had gone further in the tournament. Same with Declan Rice. Obviously, Scamacca hasn't scored a goal in the mini preseason that we've just had, but he has rolled over on his ankle and looking like he could be a doubt for the game. So it's not great, but we're not the only team in the same situation. I mean, Arsenal find themselves without their main talisman up top.
Yeah, you know what? I was actually talking to my dad earlier, and I was like, it's typical West Ham. Like, probably the one time you don't want to play Arsenal would be now because, we've picked up quite a few annoying injuries, it seems. But then he actually himself pointed out, like you said, that actually Arsenal got quite a few injuries. When you look into it, they've got quite a few players missing as well. So,
and but we can't underestimate the whole kind of Gabriel Jesus injury. I'm not saying that they've solely built their season on him, but he's been a piece of the jigsaw that they've been looking for to progress themselves further up the league. And they needed to put the ball into the back of the net, which has been our issue for the first 15 games this season. Actually, it's probably been our issue since January. David Moyes said it himself. Fine margins. I do believe that it has been fine margins, but they're missing him, and it's not taking credit away from what they've achieved and what they could still achieve and what they've got in their squad. There's no ifs or buts about that. But equally, though, we have got what we say on paper is a very good squad. And we're obviously here today, mate, to try and predict the 11 that David Moyes will put out. This will be a tough one. You know, we're starting to get into a flow of predicting the 11, but it'll be a tough one because, first and foremost, we don't know what Moyes has thought over the break. Has he reset? Has he treated it like the preseason that we think it could be? Will he stick with firm favourites? Should he stick with firm favourites? And if players are injured, will there be players moving into different positions, and will that give other position players in the squad a chance to show what they're capable of doing? But I think, without further ado, mate, I think we should start moving into the starting 11. If you're happy to, unless you want to say anything else before we carry on.
No, yeah, let's crack on.
Yep. So if you are watching, obviously engage in the chat as well and let us know your genuine thoughts on the starting 11. Now, let's get into the goalkeeper, mate. I mean, listen, no brainer here. Alfonso Areola isn't reported back yet to West Ham, obviously, because France were in the World Cup final. He did feature, of course, in the World Cup at all, actually, Matt, did he?
No, which was I thought was kind of, I thought it was really weird because there was only one opportunity for him to feature, which was that last group game, because France had won both their first games. So for them, in the way their group worked out, the last games were dead rubber, and they pretty much changed every player. But they played like 37-year-old Steve Mandanda for a game instead of Areola. So he didn't feature once. But like you said, they won. He's probably not reported back yet. So it's going to be Fabianski.
Yeah,
I'd like to think.
I
was going to say, I'd like to think this side of the January window that Areola may start getting the number one shirt.
I don't see it.
But
I don't see it yet.
That's why I said I hope. But
no, I don't. I don't see it yet. I think he's going to get the conference, any of the other cups, as long as we manage to stay in the cups, and maybe the transition, depending on where we are in the league, may happen laterally. Also, depending on the situation. I mean, if we're not doing well over the next 3 or 4 games, then we may be having to change it in other departments. But anyway, let's move on. I think we'll go for Fabianski in goal. I think that's a bit of a no-brainer, mate. Isn't it? So, right, let's get into the rest of the team. What formation are we going? We're missing quite a few defenders. We were just talking about Aguerd there. So, it's been confirmed today that Aguerd is not going to make the game. He's a doubt. He's not going to make a game at all. Zuma is missing as well. So, what do we do?
Are you ready for this? I was going to say we're missing defenders. And we just played 3 friendlies where we played 4 at the back every game. But I genuinely think he's going to go 5 at the back.
Yeah. Okay. This is going to make for interesting reading. So with the basis of 5 at the back, let's start on the left-hand side of the central defence, mate. Who are you putting in there?
Bonner.
Yeah, I agree with you, mate. I totally agree with you. You've got to give him credit. You've got to give him a lot of credit. In my opinion, I'm giving him credit because from that injury at that age to come back and give himself a chance and a shot this season, and he's done all right. Like, he is lacking pace, but I think when you put him in the central defence, you're going to need a 5 at the back to support that as much as you can. The disappointing thing about putting Ogbonna there, and it's not a disappointment on him, but the disappointing thing is the fact that when we felt like we were so close to seeing Aguerd and Zuma, it just disappeared. Not just with one of the players, but both of the bloody players. So now, so we find ourselves in this situation. So let's go on to the one in the middle of the park, the central defence. Who goes in the middle?
I know the 2 players I'm going to pick. I just don't know which position they're going to play. Yeah. Like, I know my other 2 centre backs. So for now, I'll say Kira.
What, straight into in the middle?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And you'll see it because you can maybe flip flop the 2 centre backs.
Okay. And then who goes into the other side?
Dawson.
Okay. I mean, I'll change it up then. I mean, for me personally, I agree it will be those 3 players. But I do think it will be in this, wherever I get this up for you.
The other way around, yeah.
Yeah, the other way around. I don't think Dawson suits being anywhere else except for right through the middle, to be fairly honest with you.
I was just thinking if you want the
And
ball playing centre back, you'd put Kira in the middle. That was my only logic.
yeah, but I think the other logic is that I think Dawson is suited in that sitting deeper role, protecting that back line. Kira has been showing positivity out on the right hand side, so you've got to give him that kind of that side. You know, that's for me. I think that's stronger. That's the strongest three, and in those positions that we've got in that back line. Now, let's talk about Thilo Kehrer for a minute. Bang average World Cup for him. Germany, terrible World Cup for him. He's back in training. Some people said dip in form. It was a bit of a dip in form. But it's allowed Vladimir Coufal to get some much needed game time. And okay, it's friendlies, but he's done all right. What does that make for Thilo Kehrer?
You know what? He's made probably like 3 or 4 mistakes in the season, right? And it's just been West Ham's luck this season that every mistake he's made has pretty much ended up with a goal. Like on the whole, he hasn't been particularly bad. Like he hasn't been that bad. But it's just every mistake he's made has been absolutely jumped upon instantly.
Yeah.
But I suppose you could also argue that, he's flip-flopped between positions.
Yeah.
He's played centre back in a back 4, right centre back in a back 5, right back in a back 4, and right wing back. So, he's not exactly had a comfortable position or formation to play in. But he probably sums up half our first half of the season.
Yeah.
Bit good in spells, and every time he's made a mistake, the other team's punished it.
Yeah, definitely.
But
what's interesting about, like, if we're moving on to the right hand side now of this back five with Vladimir Coufal, he's been kind of favoured a bit more than Ben Johnson in the friendlies as well. And is that a sign of things to come, especially when you're starting to hear these rumours about agent talks and things like that being postponed? Is that a sign of where Moyes' head is at, or do you think I'm reading into it too much and we may see Ben Johnson in the team?
I think I don't think it's going to be that. I don't think it'll be that because I think he's still got 18 months left on his contract anyway, and West Ham kind of historically don't do much in the way of contract talks during the season anyway.
Yeah,
West Ham, and it's probably fine because also don't forget, if you've seen like any sort of the Netflix and Amazon documentaries, quite often the player's oblivious to it. The player's not involved.
Yeah,
it's the agent saying, "I want this for my player." And West Ham and Johnson's agent could be very far apart. West Ham be like, you know what? We don't normally do it during the season anyway. We wanted to try and get this done, but we'll review it at the end of the season. We'll see what your client's worth, and it just goes back to Johnson. Does he play well or not? Because if he doesn't play well, West Ham can be like, well, see, look, we offered you this. You said you wanted more, but he hasn't produced to want more. As for actually playing, I think in a back five, I'd never start Johnson as a right wing back in a back five.
Yeah,
I'd play him as the right centre back in a back five.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's done that a few times. Or in a game where we're expected to be on the counter attack and defend, I'd play him right of a back 4.
Could you see him being in where Thilo Kehrer is and Thilo Kehrer going out to the right side?
Possibly
as well. The only reason I'm saying that might not happen is because we've not even really seen Ben Johnson much over the last couple of weeks. So that's the only reason why I think I'm pretty happy to commit to this team that we've put out so far with Coufal at the right back.
Well, I think I like that because Coufal doesn't have to worry as much about getting back because we've seen since he had that injury last year, his pace has been exposed a little bit. So if you've got the pacey Kehrer in behind him, that can sort of cover.
Yeah.
But I think out of Johnson and Coufal is by far the better attacking fullback. I think his ability to run beyond the defender and put crosses in is a lot better than Johnson's. Johnson is very much a defender's defender and not a modern day attacking fullback.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, definitely.
No, I get that. You don't 100%. Want a defending defender in a back five. You want an attacking fullback Otherwise, you might as well just play back four and everyone just sit back and not tag.
Well, let's look at the left-hand side then. When we talk about fullbacks, doubts on Creswell, adding to the list of potentially injury concerns. Is this the right game to give Palmieri a chance?
Well, this is my entire basis for a back five. Because he hasn't played him in a back four. He only plays him in a back five. So the fact Creswell got injured in the mini pre-season, as West Ham had a couple of injuries, I was like, Emerson's going to have to play. So literally, our entire formation is being changed for the sake of one player. Yeah, which I think is kind of harsh, because I would like to see him in a back four, but just Moyes had never done it. Moyes just seems to think, probably because Emerson offers so much going forward, like his ability to dribble and actually get past and put balls in, very, in some ways, when Masuaku offered his best, that was what he did. And, that first stint when Moyes came back, he got the best out of Masuaku as that sort of roaming left wing back with Creswell tucked in behind.
Yeah.
So, and again, you know what? There was two factors. One, that Emerson, and two, that Moyes doesn't like attacking big teams. So, back five, and Creswell you'd never play Creswell on wide of a back five because he's got no pace. So, it has to be Emerson.
Yep. Okay, let's go with that. If you are watching, do you agree or disagree with our starting back five? We've got 6 players in the team already. We're flying through this, Matt. We are flying through this. Now, it's going to get a bit unpredictable here now when we start to move forward in the team. Now, the situation is that we obviously have been playing predominantly with 2 central defensive midfielders. Predominantly, most part of the season, it's been Tommy Souček and Declan Rice. Declan Rice and Paqueta reported back and were discussed in the press conference. In the press conference, he referenced the fact that they did not need any friendlies for West Ham because they've had regular football in the World Cup. And albeit the 2 of them performed really well, in my opinion, apart from the countries not progressing in the club through the cup. There's a big call, huge call from West Ham fans, huge call from the media, the mainstream media, to see what Paqueta's best position is. And Moyes likes to play him up top, a bit further up top, a bit more flamboyant, a bit more freedom up top. But when he plays for Brazil, when he played for Lyon, he did sit deeper in alongside the central defensive midfielder, and that gave those players the opportunity to either progress forward or he progressed forward, and he had that freedom. And I just feel once all these players are fit, Matt, once all the players are fit in our squad, we need to break free from the double central defensive midfielder. Once we've got every player we want fit in that team, we don't need to have 2 central defensive midfielders, in my honest, humble opinion. I'm not saying we don't. I think we might need to do something like that for this game. But I think there could be something a little bit different. But let's start with Paqueta. Let's start with Rice. Rice starts.
Rice is in, yeah.
Right. So we'll add Rice in. Now, the next topic of conversation before we even get on to let's go on to Paqueta. Will Paqueta go in beside Rice? Yes or no?
It depends on the formation. Because sometimes Moyes likes playing the sort of the 3-4-3. You get your back 3, you have the wing backs alongside your midfield 2, and then you play 2 strikers, you play 2 wingers either side of the centre forward. Yeah. If Moyes plays that formation, which I hope he does, I would then stick Paqueta in alongside Rice. Rice, look, I think it's the most unspoken thing in the going that Rice will be gone in the summer. Like, even Noble's come out and said, you know what, we can't financially compete. So Moyes literally needs to turn around and tell Rice, because no matter where he goes next season, he will not be going as a box-to-box player because he's not good enough. Yeah, he has good marauding runs to get the ball up the pitch, but like when you watched him play for England, predominantly, he's a holding player. He just sits in front of the back 4. That's what he done for England at the World Cup. Yes, occasionally when we were chasing the game, he'd make these big runs to try and split the defence or split a midfield. But if you could see it. The thing was literally he sat in front of the back 2. It was almost like a third centre back, protecting the 2 of them. And if you tell Rice just to do that for West Ham for 6 months, because that's what he's going to do wherever he goes next year, you should then be able to play Paqueta alongside him. Do I think Moyes will do it the way at Arsenal?
I agree.
Probably I don't know, probably not. Which
Well,
then
I mean,
leaves.
I'm gonna commit to this, right? And I'm kind of gonna want you to commit to it a little bit as well, because I want you to build this potential starting 11 with me. I kind of feel that something, what we all feel, that something has to change. So therefore, if we do turn up at Arsenal, at Emirates, away from home, with the same old situation, then you're not going to have that confidence going into the game as a fan. Now, that's not how football works necessarily. We've seen that team, the one that we don't feel confident with this year, turn up and get a victory and do all right. We have seen it, but it doesn't mean that they're going to be consistently performing. Now, for me, I don't think we can afford to use. We've had a 6-week break coming at the right time. We've seen what players are capable of doing, and we need to maximize that. Moyes consistently says we are transitioning, we are changing. This is the start of the change, in my opinion. Now, I think you could see Paqueta drop in alongside Rice, but that is only if we still play 2 central defensive midfielders. It just means that we are playing that kind of 3-pack mentality back there. Now, people may get pissed off if Souček starts. I might get pissed off if Souček starts. But the only difference is I'll be only remotely satisfied as if Paqueta has that freedom role that he deserves, which is in alongside Declan Rice. And I'll elaborate a little bit more. When Tommy Souček came to the club, first and foremost, there was Tommy Souček, there was Declan Rice, and there was Mark Noble. And they played in this kind of triangular effect for West Ham that was the start of West Ham progressing as a club. Yes, okay, you're talking about 3 central defensive midfielders, but it worked. Noble sometimes went a bit further forward. He also then sat further back when Declan Rice went further forward, when Tommy Souček went further forward for set pieces, etc. And it worked for us. The difference now is we don't have to rely on having 3 central defensive midfielders when you've got a player like Paqueta who can be so creative, so flamboyant on the ball, penetrate from any place on that part, comfortable when he's got the ball close to his feet, comfortable when he's got players coming at him from every single angle. So based upon that, why won't he change it up and put him in there, but pack out the midfield?
I'm just trying to think of what he fits in going in the last third, the attacking players. It's I'd happily see that midfield if it was, and this is gonna be annoying because I'd rather see Downs. I'd even rather see Fornals.
I would. No, I agree. I would
if you
rather
say you put
put
Fornals in there, and then you just swapped Paqueta and Rice's position and left literally Rice in the middle of the 3, and he had Paqueta on one side and Fornals on the other, because they're both will get up and down non-stop. They'll both put tackles in. They both cover a lot of ground. They're both creative, and but they're also both not afraid to put a foot in. So you've still got that bite and tenacity in the midfield. All right, you lose a bit of height, but you've still got the work rate and the flair and everything. Well, or you just go a flat 2, or you go for a flat 2, leave Rice and Paqueta as a flat 2 because you've got the 3 centre-backs, and leave 3 up front. And actually,
I agree with you.
Make Arsenal consider something going the opposite direction.
Yep. And do you know what, mate? On that basis, I think we need to be a little bit different. We need to pray and hope that Moyes is thinking a little bit different. So let's do that. Let's go with Fornals sitting in there in front of Paqueta and Declan Rice. So why not, mate? We have to see something a little bit different that's going to offer the team some more fluidity when they're going forwards, some maybe grace football. I mean, listen, fair play to Fornals. I think he's actually, just before the break, was doing really well for West Ham again, just before the break. And then obviously he's continued a little bit of that form into the friendlies, albeit it's friendlies. But he's looking like he's really up for it as well. And he could be the right person, like you said, mate, the grit, the determination to win that ball back. But he's also got that creativity to get forward, and he likes to bang in a goal as well. What does that leave us with, though? We've got 5, 6, 7. We've got 8.
2 players.
Is that 5, 6, 7, 8, 9? Yeah, makes it quite tough. So
I mean, I already know. I know who my last two players are, but just based on what's left.
Right. So the situation for anyone that doesn't know, we don't really know about Antonio and Scamacca. There's an outside chance. What we have learned over the years of listening to David Moyes is it doesn't really matter what we've learned because we don't know really what he's saying. So therefore, there could be Scamacca, there could be Antonio, but quite equally, both of them might not even be included in the squad. But I'm going to take it just from the reading of it, and I'm probably going to be wrong because he likes to play smoke and mirrors, that the only player that could feature, but might not start, will be Antonio.
See, that's what I was thinking.
But might not start. And on the basis of that, I think we're going to see the last two players, Benrahma and Bowen. Is that you agreeing as well?
Yeah, I said the only thing I was flip-flopping on was Antonio.
Yeah.
Because you know what? If he's not 100% fit, you might as well just start him.
Yeah.
There's no point.
So go elaborate on...
If he's only got 45 minutes in him, there is no point in waiting for the second half to get Antonio on.
Yeah.
Because we can't hold out in games. Whenever Moyes tries to hold out in a game, especially this season, whenever he's gone, oh, we're winning with 10 minutes to go, we're drawing with 10 minutes to go, let's get a defensive player on, we end up conceding. You know, what game was it just before the international break? I'm trying to think, was it Man United or something? Where or was it Liverpool, where it was quite apparent the tactic was to get to like the last 20 or 30 minutes and then make us up and go for it. And we conceded after like half an hour or something. And it was like, oh, well, the plan's out the window now. What have we got?
Yeah.
So on that basis, I would just go from the start. Just play Antonio. If he only gets 45 minutes, get the first 45 out of him. And then maybe put Bowen down with the second half and offer something else.
Yeah, I don't see it, mate. I think we're going to see a bit of a change. I think we're going to see Bowen, the kind of false nine, to be honest. I think he is. I was going to put him out on the right-hand side. There's no point in putting him out there because if we don't have anyone up top, he is going to be the one that's going to feature up there. But what you do get from Fornals, Bowen and Benrahma is the ability to fluctuate and change. And we've seen it. It does work. It's worked in the past for us. And when we don't least expect it to work, it works. And with an injured side, with what you're talking about, when you're looking at this side, there's there's 5 players minimum.
6.
Are you counting Areola?
No,
maybe 6. Maybe 7.
I'm trying to think.
Maybe 7. Right. So there's 6 questionable players, first team starters missing.
You've got centre back pairing. You've got the first choice centre back pairing entirely missing.
Actually, do you know what? There's possibly 8. There's possibly 8 players. 7 or 8 players minimum.
I've not included Areola. I've just forgotten Areola for now. But your starting centre back pairing is entirely missing.
Yeah.
Your starting left back is missing.
Yeah.
So you're changing formation to fit another team in, another player in. You've got both your starting centre forwards missing.
Yeah.
Because you're Antonio and Scamacca. You've got your start and your rotation. They both start, both rotate. And Cornet had a thigh strain about 4 months ago and hasn't played.
Sorry, calf strain.
Yeah. That's sorry, was that 2, 4, 6? No, that was 6. Yeah, 6. Just that should, because in theory, Cornet should be in that game. He should be on the wing. And you probably put Benrahma on one wing, Cornet on the other. In theory, you could have an entirely different front three out of the injured players. You could put Antonio on one wing, Cornet on the other, and Scamacca up front. And I'd like to see that team. But it's just never happened.
No, it's not. It's not. But do you know what? We do have this element of living in hope. Of course, we do. We have this element of living in hope, and fingers crossed we can get these players back because bang goes the kind of bedding in period. We need to put them in now. It's like Aguerd's had his time. Hopefully he comes back fit. We'll get him back fit. Cornet will come back. He's got Premier League experience, all that sort of stuff. Scamacca, Antonio. God, I can't believe it when you look at the team and you think, oh my God, there's quite a lot of players missing, strong players there. But listen, we were going to keep this short and sweet. That's our predictive 11 for you. Matt, I'm going straight over to you with the pressure on. Name me your predictions. Give me your predictions. Where's he going to go with this?
It's basically like a first game of the season again, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is, mate.
So I reckon it'll be goals. I'm going to go for a 2-2.
2-2. He's going for a Desmond, mate. You're going for a Desmond. I'm going to
Yeah,
go for goals as well, but I think we will score 2, but I think we'll only concede 1. I'm going for a 2-1 win, mate.
I take it. I take it right now, but it's going to be a weird game because it is basically going to be like a first opening game of the season again. And you do always, if you remember at the start of this season, you always get weird results and weird scores, and you never know.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, there you go. There is our predicted 11 for you. There's a strong possibility there's going to be changes in that. We don't know who's going to be fit, but put your comments in. Let us know your thoughts. Hit the thumbs up. If you are new around here, subscribe to the channel. Also, give us your honest feedback. If you're interested in becoming a channel member, hit the join option as well. Hope you have enjoyed it. Matt's gone for a Desmond. I've gone for a 2-1 West Ham victory. Keep your eyes peeled on the channel. Loads of stuff coming your way. Can't believe it's coming up to Christmas, Matt. Couple of what? Santa's coming tomorrow. The best thing we can wish for, best present we can wish for is 3 points at the Emirates. We'll take that now.
Absolutely. Yep.
Also, if you are watching, we'd love to wish you a very Merry Christmas as well, and all the best for the new year. We'll see you before the new year kicks in, of course, but Merry Christmas. Matt, you want a Christmas message to everyone?
Stay safe, enjoy yourselves, bin off all your Christmas presents and just pray for the 3 points instead. Tell Santa, don't want anything else, want the 3 points.
Right, take it easy, everyone. Thanks for watching, and here's a message from our sponsors. Come on, Youngs.
Good night.